The Discovery Captain Verix of the Meridian Exploration Corps had spent 17 cycles mapping the outer territories when his sensors detected something impossible. The reading appeared 3 times before he trusted it enough to call his science officer. Thalon, confirm these readings, Verix said. His 4 eyes focused on the display showing a planet that should not exist in this sector. Thalon moved with the graceful fluidity typical of their species. The Meridians were tall beings with translucent skin that shifted colors based on their emotions. Right now, Thalon's skin showed bands of curious yellow mixed with cautious orange. Captain, I am seeing the same data. There is a terraformed world in this system. Atmosphere processors, orbital stations, even agricultural sectors. Thalon's voice carried notes of wonder and confusion. But this sector was marked as unexplored. No known species has claimed it. Verix felt his own skin pulse with excitement, turning bright azure. In 300 years of space exploration, the Meridian people had encountered 17 different civilizations. Each meeting had been peaceful, each new friendship a cause for celebration. The Meridians believed the universe was vast enough for all species to thrive together. Could it be the Corthans? Asked Navigator Elise. From her station, they have been expanding their territory. Negative, Thalon replied, manipulating the data streams with practiced ease. The technology signatures are completely unknown. Whoever built this colony uses power systems and construction methods we have never encountered. Verix made his decision quickly. Set course for the planet. Maintain peaceful approach protocols. Broadcast friendship greetings on all frequencies. The ship, named Dawn's Promise, moved toward the mysterious world. As they drew closer, more details emerged. The planet had been transformed from a barren rock into something green and alive. Massive machines still hummed on the surface, maintaining the atmosphere and regulating temperature. Cities dotted 3 continents, their architecture strange and angular compared to the flowing designs the Meridians preferred. But something was wrong. Captain Thalon's skin had turned a worried gray. I am detecting no response to our greetings. No ships are launching to meet us. No communications at all. Life signs? Verix asked, though he already feared the answer. Scanning now. A long pause. A long pause. Captain, I am reading massive infrastructure but minimal life signs. Perhaps a few thousand biological signatures across the entire planet. There should be millions based on the city sizes. The crew exchanged concerned glances, their skin colors betraying their anxiety. Verix had seen abandoned worlds before, but those were ancient places where civilizations had died naturally over millennia. This colony looked new, fresh, as if its builders had just stepped away moments ago. Prepare landing team, Verix ordered. Full environmental suits and scanning equipment. We go down to learn what happened. They landed in what appeared to be the central city. The buildings towered overhead, built from metals and materials that gleamed in the sunlight. Everything was designed with sharp efficiency. No wasted space, no decorative It felt cold to Verix, but he reminded himself that different species had different aesthetics. The team walked through empty streets. Vehicles sat abandoned with doors open. Personal belongings littered the ground as if people had dropped them mid-stride. Thalon picked up a small device that appeared to be some kind of communication tool. They left in a hurry, he observed. This was not an evacuation. This was a panic. They found the first body in what their scanners identified as a residential building. The creature was bipedal like the Meridians, but shorter and more compact. Its skin was a pale, peachy color, without any ability to change hue. It had hair growing from its head, and its hands ended in 5 flexible digits. Begin full biological scan, Verix said softly, approaching the body with respect. Thalon worked in silence, his instruments humming as they analyzed the deceased being. When he finished, his skin had turned an alarming shade of deep purple, a color Verix had never seen on him before. Captain, these readings cannot be correct. I will run them again. What did you find? This species evolved on a death world. Their bone density is 3 times what should be necessary for this planet's gravity. Their muscle structure suggests they can exert tremendous force. Their blood chemistry indicates they breathe an oxygen-rich atmosphere and metabolize food at an incredible rate. Thalon looked up from his scanner. Captain, Everything about their biology suggests they came from a planet trying to kill them every moment of every day. Varix examined the body more carefully. It looked so fragile, so soft, compared to the crystalline structure of Meridian body. Yet Thalan's scans suggested this creature was far more durable than appearances indicated. What could kill beings this resilient? Elias asked. They found their answer in the colony's central data archive. The building was intact, its power systems still functioning. Thalan accessed their computer networks, and the systems automatically provided translation protocols. They anticipated meeting other species, Thalan said with genuine sadness. They wanted to communicate with us. The data revealed everything. These beings called themselves humans. They had come from a world named Earth, a planet that horrified Varix with its descriptions. Massive predators that hunted in packs. Weather systems that could destroy cities. Tectonic activity that regularly reshaped continents. Diseases that killed millions. And despite all of this, humans had not just survived, but thrived. They had built civilizations, created art, developed technology that let them escape their deadly world. They had reached for the stars with determination that seemed almost unbelievable. But the data also showed something darker. Humans fought each other constantly. Wars devastated their home world repeatedly. They created weapons of unimaginable destruction. They poisoned their own atmosphere and polluted their oceans. They hurt each other in ways that made Varix's skin turn 6 shades of brown. Why would any species do this to itself? Elise asked, her voice barely a whisper. The colony records provided context. This settlement, called Haven's Rest, had been founded by humans seeking escape from the endless conflicts of their species. 5,000 colonists had traveled for decades to reach this remote system. They wanted to build something peaceful, something different from the violence that plagued human civilization. For 20 years, they had succeeded. The records showed children being born, crops being harvested, buildings being raised. The colonists had created schools and hospitals and parks. They had built a society based on cooperation rather than competition. Then everything had changed 6 months ago. The final entries in the colonial records were frantic, desperate. Ships had appeared in orbit without warning. Human ships, but not friendly ones. The colonists had sent messages asking for peaceful dialogue. The response had been silence followed by action. Varix watched the recorded footage with growing horror. The orbital stations had been destroyed first, eliminating any chance of escape. Then dropships had landed carrying soldiers in heavy armor. But these soldiers had not come to occupy or conquer. They had come to deliver something far worse. They released a pathogen, Thalan reported. His skin now a sickly shade of pale yellow. A biological weapon, specifically designed to kill humans. The medical records show it was incredibly efficient. Fever, internal bleeding, organ failure, death within 72 hours of exposure. But why? Varix demanded. Why would humans kill other humans who only wanted peace? The answer came from a message left by the colony's leader, a woman named Dr. Elena Vasquez. She had recorded it as she lay dying, her face showing the ravages of the disease. To whoever finds this, she said, her voice weak but determined. We were executed for the crime of refusing to participate in humanity's ongoing wars. The Earth Coalition demanded we send resources and personnel to support their military campaigns. We refused. We came here to escape violence, not to enable it. She coughed, and Varix saw blood on her lips. The Coalition could not allow our example to stand. If one colony could refuse, others might follow. So they sent the Purge Fleet. 12 ships crewed by soldiers who see dissent as treason. Elena's eyes fixed on the camera with an intensity that made Varix uncomfortable. They did not just kill us. They studied us as we died. They took samples and measurements. They treated our suffering as a scientific experiment. This is what humanity can become when survival instincts turn inward, when we see our own people as threats rather than family. The recording showed her taking a difficult breath. If you are watching this, then you have found what remains of our dream. Remember, Uwis. Remember that we tried to be better than our nature. And if you ever encounter humanity among the stars, understand this truth. We are capable of extraordinary kindness and unimaginable cruelty, often at the same time. You will never know which version you face until it is too late. The message ended with Elena closing her eyes for the final time. Varric stood in the silent archive, his skin cycling through colors he could not control. Around him, his team members displayed similar distress. They had come seeking new friends and found a tragedy beyond their comprehension. "Captain," Thalen said carefully, "there is more you need to see. The biological scans detected some life signs on this planet. They are not in the cities." "Where are they?" "Underground. Deep underground. And Captain, their readings are unusual. Enhanced, somehow. Different from the deceased colonists." Varric felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that some of the colonists survived, and based on these readings, they survived by becoming something other than baseline human." Varric looked at the empty streets visible through the archive windows. Somewhere beneath this dead city, humans were alive. Humans who had endured a genocide and emerged changed. Humans who now knew that Meridians had found them. "We need to make contact," Varric decided. "Care Fuli. If they survived what was done to them, they may not trust visitors." "Captain, is that wise?" Elise asked. "After what we have learned about humanity." Varric's skin settled into a determined shade of deep blue. "We are Leah. Leah. We do not abandon the suffering. We do not flee from the difficult. If there are survivors, they deserve our help, or at least our understanding." He did not say what he was thinking. That the Meridian Council needed to know about humanity. Needed to know about a species that could kill millions of its own people for refusing to fight. Needed to know about the darkness that could exist alongside the light. The team prepared to descend into the underground tunnels. As they gathered their equipment, Varric looked once more at the frozen image of Elena Vasquez on the screen. She had died, hoping someone would remember her people's dream of peace. He would make sure the galaxy remembered, but he feared what else he would discover in the depths below. Because if humans could do this to themselves, what might they do to others? And what had the survivors become in their desperate bid to live through the horror visited upon them? The answers waited in the darkness beneath Haven's Rest. And Captain Varric was about to learn that humanity's true terror was not what they could endure, but what they became when pushed beyond endurance. Asterisk. The entrance to the underground facility was hidden beneath what appeared to be a water treatment plant. Thalen's scanners had located it after hours of searching, following the faint energy signatures that pulsed from deep below the surface. Captain Varric stood at the threshold, looking down into darkness that his light could not fully penetrate. The entrance had been sealed, but not locked, as if whoever had gone down expected to return, or expected someone to follow. "Life signs are stronger here," Thalen reported, his skin displaying nervous patterns of orange and yellow. Approximately 200 individuals, all showing those same enhanced readings I mentioned before. "Enhanced? How?" Varric asked, though part of him dreaded the answer. "Their cellular activity is operating at levels far beyond normal human baselines. Increased bone density, hyperactive nervous systems, accelerated healing factors. Captain, these readings suggest genetic modification or cybernetic enhancement. Possibly, but..." Ilias checked her weapon, a small device that could emit a stunning frequency. The Meridians rarely needed weapons, but they carried them for wildlife encounters. If they modified themselves to survive the pathogen, they might be unstable, desperate. Or they might be people who need help, Verix countered, his skin turning a hopeful shade of green. We descend together. Stay alert, but project no hostility. If they have survived this nightmare, the last thing they need is more fear. They entered the tunnel. The walls were smooth metal, utilitarian and functional like everything else humans built. Emergency lights provided dim illumination at regular intervals. As they descended, Verix noticed something that made his skin pulse with concern. Scratch marks on the walls. Deep gouges in the metal, as if something with tremendous strength had clawed its way through. Thaloon. Could humans make marks like these with their bare hands? Thalon scanned the gouges. Not baseline humans. No. But with the enhancements, I am reading. Perhaps. Captain, I am detecting elevated stress hormones in the air. Old ones. From months ago. Whatever happened down here, it was traumatic. They descended for nearly an hour before the tunnel opened into a massive chamber. Verix stopped at the entrance, his four eyes widening at the sight before him. The chamber was enormous. Easily the size of a small city. Hydroponic farms stretched in neat rows, their plants growing under artificial lights. Living quarters were carved into the walls, showing signs of habitation. Medical facilities lined one section, their equipment still functioning. This was not a simple shelter. This was a complete underground colony, built with the same precision and efficiency that humans applied to everything. How long would it take to build something like this? Elise wondered. Years, Thalon answered. This was not constructed after the attack. This was already here. They planned for this eventuality. Verix felt his skin turn a confused shade of purple. He knew. Somehow, they knew they might be attacked by their own people. A voice echoed through the chamber, speaking in the translated human language. Not new. Feared. There is a difference. The meridians spun around. A figure emerged from the shadows near the farming section. It was human, clearly. But Verix immediately understood Thalon's concern about the enhanced readings. The human was female, tall and muscular in a way that seemed impossible for their species. Her eyes glowed with a faint amber light, and when she moved, it was with predatory grace that made Verix's instincts scream danger. Her skin showed patterns of scarring, but they were deliberate, almost artistic. Veins of what looked like circuitry ran beneath the surface of her arms. My name is Maya Chun, she said, stopping at a respectful distance. I was the colony's head of security. Now I am what is left of our leadership. Her glowing eyes studied them carefully. You are Meridian. Yes, we detected your ship 3 days ago. We have been watching you explore our dead city. Verix forced his skin to show peaceful blue tones. I am Captain Verix of the Dawn's Promise. We came in peace, seeking to understand what happened here. We found Dr. Vasquez's message. Pain flickered across Maya's face. Alina, she was my sister. Did her message reach you before you decided to come down here, or after? Before. We came because survivors deserve help, not abandonment. Maya's expression softened slightly. Your species really does live up to its reputation for compassion. We learned about the Meridians from our databases before the attack. You have never known war, have you? We have conflicts, but nothing like what your records show of human history, Verix admitted. Then you cannot possibly understand what we became down here. Maya, Historit, and other figures emerged from various parts of the chamber. All of them showed similar enhancements, glowing eyes, muscular frames, visible modifications. Some had obvious cybernetic limbs. Others showed more subtle changes. A young male approached, his movements unnaturally fast. I am David Park. I was 17 when the Purge fleet came. Now I am something else. We had no choice, Maya explained, her voice carrying old pain. The pathogen was designed to be perfect, 100% lethal to baseline humans. Our medical team had 72 hours to find a solution. They could not cure it, but they could change us enough that it could not recognize us as human anymore. Thalon's skin had gone pale with shock. You modified your own genetics while dying from a plague. Dr. Reeves did. Maya gestured to an older human male who stood near the medical section. His modifications were the most extensive, with entire sections of his body replaced by advanced technology. He was our chief geneticist. He also contracted the pathogen. He used himself as the first test subject. Asterisk. Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his movements stiff but purposeful. The pathogen identified targets by their genetic markers. Human markers. I introduced non-human DNA sequences, activated dormant genes, and added synthetic enhancements. The goal was to make our bodies unrecognizable as human while keeping us functionally alive. It worked, Maya continued. But the process was agony. Imagine every cell in your body being rewritten while a disease tries to kill you. 70% of those who underwent the procedure died anyway, but 200 of us survived. We became something new, something human but also not human. Verix struggled to process this. You've destroyed your own genetic identity to survive. We adapted, Maya corrected. That is what humans do, Captain. We adapt or we die. Our ancestors survived ice ages and famines and predators. We survived our own wars and weapons. We would survive this too. But at what cost? Elise asked quietly, Maya's glowing eyes fixed on her. At the cost of our humanity. Navigate. We saved our lives, but lost the right to call ourselves baseline human. The Purge Fleet wanted to eliminate dissent. They succeeded. Haven's Rest is gone. What remains is something they never anticipated. David spoke up. We are faster now. Stronger. We heal from injuries that would kill normal humans. Some of us can interface directly with machines. Others have enhanced senses. Dr. Reeves gave us the tools to survive, but we had to learn how to live with them. Show them, Maya said to a young woman who had been standing in the shadows. The woman stepped forward. Her name was Sarah Torres, she explained, and she'd been a teacher before the attack. She held out her hand, and before Verix's eyes, her fingers extended into metallic claws. Then they retracted, replaced by normal-looking digits. Then they became tools, precise instruments for delicate work. We can control our modifications consciously, Sarah explained. Our nervous systems were enhanced to allow this. It took months to learn, and some of us still struggle. But we are not monsters, Captain. We are people who refuse to die. Verix felt his skin cycle through colors he could not control. These humans had performed medical miracles under impossible circumstances. They had rewritten the rules of biology itself. It was amazing and terrifying in equal measure. Why did you not leave, Verix? Askid, your ships in orbit were destroyed, but surely you could have built new ones with this technology. Maya's expression darkened, because the Purge Fleet left something behind. A satellite network in orbit, constantly scanning for human genetic signatures. If we tried to leave, they would know. They would return to finish what they started, so we stayed underground, hidden, waiting. Waiting for what? For a chance? For Hill. For anything that might change our situation. Maya looked directly at Verix. We have been trapped here for 6 months. Captain, we have food and water and power, but we have no future. We cannot leave, cannot return to human space. Cannot even reveal that we survived. The Coalition does not tolerate failures. If they knew we lived, they would send something worse than a pathogen. Thalen spoke carefully. What could be worse than genocide? Dr. Reeves answered, his voice heavy with knowledge. Humanity has weapons that make that pathogen look merciful. Nanite swarms that disassemble matter at the molecular level. Gravity weapons that compress entire cities into singularities. Biological constructs that hunt specific genetic signatures across light years. We built these things, Navigator. We built them and used them on ourselves. The chamber fell silent. Verix felt the weight of revelation pressing down on him. He had thought finding this colony would be a simple tragedy. Instead, he had discovered something far more complex. These survivors were victims who had become something unprecedented. They were humans who had transcended their own biology out of sheer desperation. "You want us to help you escape," Varric said. It was not a question. Maya nodded. "The satellite network cannot detect Meridian ships. You use different power signatures, different propulsion systems. You could take us away from here, give us a chance to find a place where we can live without fear. And if we refuse, then we continue waiting. Perhaps for decades, perhaps forever. But we will not force you, Captain. We have seen enough of what happens when beings are forced against their will." Varric looked at his team. Thalin's skin showed uncertain gray. Ely's displayed worried orange. They were thinking the same thing he was. Taking these survivors could bring human attention to Meridian space. The Coalition might see it as an act of war. The peaceful existence his people had known for centuries could end. But leaving them here was abandonment. It was allowing fear to overcome compassion. It was becoming less than what Meridians aspired to be. "I need to consult with my superiors," Varric said finally. "This decision is beyond my authority. But I promise you this. I will tell your story honestly. I will advocate for your rescue. The Meridian Council values life. All life. They will understand what you endured." Maya smiled, though it carried sadness. "Thank you." "Captain, that is more than we expected, more than we deserve, perhaps." "Why would you say that?" "Because we are still human, even modified as we are, and humans bring conflict wherever they go. You have seen our history. You know what we are capable of. Saving us might be the worst mistake your species ever makes." David stepped forward. "She is wrong, Captain. We left human space to escape violence. We refused to participate in wars. That is why we were targeted. We represent the other side of humanity, the side that chooses peace, even when it costs everything." "Both things can be true," Dr. Reeves observed. "We are capable of extraordinary good and terrible evil, often simultaneously. That is the human condition. These modifications do not change that. They only make us more capable of both." Varric made his decision. "I will return to my ship and send a message to the Council. It will take time for them to deliberate and respond." "Can you wait a while longer?" "We have become very good at waiting," Maya said. "We will be here, Captain, hidden and hoping." As the Meridians prepared to leave, Sarah Torres approached Varric. "Captain, when you speak to your council, please tell them something. We did not choose to become what we are. We chose to live. There is a difference. We are not weapons. We are not monsters. We are people who refuse to let genocide be the end of our story." Varric's skin turned a solemn blue. "I will tell them exactly that." The journey back to the surface was quiet. Each Meridian was lost in their own thoughts about what they had witnessed. When they emerged into the dead city, the contrast was stark. Above ground, extinction. Below ground, transformation. Humanity had survived by becoming something new, something unprecedented. On the Dawn's promise, Varric stood in his command chamber and composed his report to the Council. He chose his words carefully, knowing they would determine the fate of 200 survivors. He described the tragedy of Haven's Rest. He explained the pathogen and the desperate solution. He detailed the modifications and the survivors' current situation. But most importantly, he shared what he had learned about humanity itself. They were a species born on a world that tried to kill them every day. They responded by becoming They fought themselves in devastating wars. They responded by seeking peace in the stars. They faced genocide. They responded by transcending their own biology. Humans were survivors in the most absolute sense. Nothing could stop them. Not environment, not disease, not even their own worst impulses. They adapted, evolved, and endured. This made them dangerous, but it also made them extraordinary. Recommendation. Varric concluded his report. We should evacuate the survivors. We should study them, learn from them, and help them find a new home. But we should also be prepared, because humanity is coming to the stars, one way or another. When they arrive, we need to understand them. These survivors are our best chance to do so. He sent a message and waited. The council would take days to respond. In the meantime, the survivors would remain hidden beneath their dead city, hoping for salvation from strangers. Varix looked at the planet on his view. From space, it looked peaceful, almost beautiful. But he knew the truth now. This world held a warning for the galaxy. Humanity was capable of incredible things. They could terraform planets, survive impossible odds, and remake themselves at the genetic level. The question was not whether humanity would spread across the stars. The question was, what kind of humanity would emerge? Would it be the peaceful colonists of Haven's Rest, seeking harmony with others? Or would it be the Purge Fleet, seeing dissent as treason and using terror as a tool of control? Perhaps, Varix thought, it would be both. Perhaps humanity contained multitudes, and the galaxy would have to learn to deal with all of them. Deep underground, Maya Chun stood in the medical bay and looked at her reflection. Glowing eyes stared back at her. Modified hands flexed with inhuman strength. She was alive, but she was no longer simply human. Do you think they will help us? David asked from behind her. I do not know, but for the first time in 6 months, I have hope. That has to count for something. And if they refuse, if they leave us here. Maya turned to face him, and her expression was determined. Then, we wait. We plan. We grow stronger. And eventually, we find our own way out. Because that is what we do, David. We survive, no matter what it costs. No matter what we become. She did not say what she was truly thinking, that the modifications had done more than save their lives. They had awakened something in the survivors, a hunger, a drive, a need to prove that they were more than victims, more than refugees, more than genetic experiments. They were the future of humanity, a future that had been forged in tragedy and tempered in desperation. And when they finally escaped this dead world, the galaxy would learn what humans could become when pushed beyond all limits. For better or worse, humanity's evolution had taken a new turn, and Captain Varix had just become the first alien to witness it. The story of Haven's Rest was not over. It was only beginning.